Alright, let's get this show on the road, boys. I just ate like 20 pieces of General Tso's chicken, and I'm ready to read the kitchen and be really, really angry. So, to start this video off, I do want to say I've read bits and pieces of this. I have yet to read the full thing. Obviously, this updated at like 9 this morning. I was unawake. When I woke up, I had some notifications. I clicked through, I saw some things. Saw some very interesting things, some might say. Interesting does not mean good in this case. Interesting means very, very bad. But, yeah, let's get off to reading this. So, while it would be ideal to present an impressive roadmap, we've often fallen short in preparation and lack the ability to anticipate the future, which made us hesitant, hesitant to make such attempts. Moving forward, we'll make an effort to better prepare and take on the challenge of providing a clear roadmap. Before we share a full-fledged roadmap, I'd like to take a moment to explain my thoughts on the current state of the game and the direction we are heading. So before I continue, I just want to say one thing. They have said in the past, I tried to find this, but I think this was said on a podcast. They have said in the past that, SDF said this in particular, that they didn't do roadmaps because he didn't like roadmaps. That is why we've never had one thus far, because they literally said they did it. He said, SDF said he did not like them. So, just want to get that out there. I'm sure some people remember him saying that, but like I said, it's not anywhere in the Discord I could find. I'm pretty sure it's said on a podcast, but he did say that. I'm not schizo. Anyways, although I believe I'd already explained things from various angles, I've come to realize that many people are still unsure about what SDF's vision truly is. I like he says it like in the third person, right? Like not what my vision is, what SDF's vision is. Like you're SDF, buddy. You know, like you're talking about yourself in the third person here. All right. This made me reflect on my lack of skill at communicating our intentions clearly. So this time I'll try to explain things more intuitively. When we design a game, we fundamentally do not chase after currently successful formulas or create games specifically for target audiences that we don't fully understand, just because that audience is large. The simple and honest reason is that we're not particularly good at developing games in that way, or at all for that matter. There are many great studios out there that are exceptionally good at that kind of development, but at the very least, I'm not that kind of person. That's why, at a fundamental level, I make games for players who are similar to myself. I believe I've mentioned this before. So, right off the bat here, obvious issue. There are many great studios that are exceptionally good at that kind of development, but at the very least, I'm not that kind of person. That's why, at a fundamental level, I make games for players who are similar to myself. You're not making this game alone, buddy. Like, you're not that kind of person. You make games for players who are similar. Okay, cool. If you're a small indie dev making your own game by yourself, that's fine. You are working with a group of people. Even when it was like at the smallest, I'm pretty sure there were probably at least still like 20 devs that are all working on this game. You are not making this yourself. You are working with a team. This has always been SDF's like biggest issue. He is so like narcissistic and so just focused and self-centered that he can't see anything else around him, and he's trying to do everything himself, which has led to the very, very bad state we are in right now. No one is going to die. The state of the game is absolutely terrible. The player base is like under like 3,000 or something. I think it was like 30, or I know it's been under like 5,000 to 4,000. I'm pretty sure at one point it was like almost under 3K, if not actually under it, like recently, and the game has been wiped for less than a week, right? Anyways, that's what at a fundamental level I make games for players who are similar to myself. I believe I've mentioned this before. Obviously stupid, but anyways. In the beginning, the game was developed based on the principles I mentioned earlier, targeting players with preferences similar to mine. However, as playtests progressed, we came to realize that a much wider range of players than we had initially expected were enjoying the game and seeing its potential. So, instead of trying to cater to them, we just tried to kill the game. Anyways, as a result, instead of continuing to dig deeper in the original direction we had set, we decided to shift our focus toward trying to meet the growing demands reflected in the feedback we were receiving. As I've said before, I'm not the type of developer who excels at satisfying audiences I don't fully understand, but I didn't want to ignore the players' interests and expectations. This felt like a major opportunity, and I agreed with the decision. We discovered that our player base included solo, duo, and trios players, hardcore and casual users, those who enjoyed dungeon crawling, players who love PvP, and others who preferred non-competitive experiences. This wide range of audiences meant we had to address a variety of needs and preferences, because we wanted to quickly build a structure that could satisfy these groups to at least certain degrees. We ended up making a series of shallow choices and going through countless trial and error. As a result, development often felt like a series of reactions to the moment rather than deliberate long-term planning. In truth, we wanted to invest time in building deeper content that would support long-term gameplay cycles, things like training systems, personal housing, and guilds. But the shallow systems we had created early on became tangled together like a chimera, and we spent an overwhelming amount of time tuning and testing them instead. See, this is what I'm curious about. What systems? Right? Like, okay, you say your shallow systems held you back. Which systems was this? Right? Because there wasn't really much that was added. And you want to support, and the thing is, we wanted to support long-term gameplay cycles, things like training systems. We've never seen that. Personal housing, guild, we've never seen that. You know what the one system that you developed that we did see was? Multiclassing. which sucked. So how are you gonna say this? That all like how are you gonna say these are the things we wanted to do, but we couldn't because other things were interfering with that when there were no other things that we even saw? Right? Like I don't. Maybe I'm just like completely forgetting things from the past here because to be fair, it was a long time ago, and people forget. We know that, right? SDF. Ah. Anyways, I don't know what this could even be alluding to. And obviously, they're not going to say it. Like, I would really appreciate if he was like, but the things like, XX and, XYZ, the coding on them is poor, and, we had to try to fix them and do stuff like that. Like, the only thing I can really think throughout the history of this game's lifespan that has been, like, tuned and tested numerous times are things like gear or, like, class skills, right? Or perks, but I wouldn't call that shallow systems that were created early on. I don't think that should be interfering with your development of big systems like housing and guilds. Like I said, maybe I'm wrong here, and maybe there's something I'm forgetting, or maybe it did. I just don't understand how that could be. I don't understand how that could be the thing that is like preventing you. I don't understand how over 2 years of development you were held back so heavily by whatever it was. I mean, I don't like I said. I genuinely like this isn't even like me like trying to like BBM to the very thing. I honest to God don't know what they could be talking about. Like, feel free if anybody understands this and could think of a system that I am missing here. Feel free, I beg you, to like tell me in the comments. Like, tell me something that could make sense here. That could be like they could be talking about that were tangled together like a chimera that they spent an overwhelming amount of time tuning and testing. And even if it's gear, like let's say they are talking about gear, like once again, that is something I've mentioned before. That wasn't necessary. These were their own choices. No one was like, oh my god, the gear has to be changed, the game's unplayable, the gear has to be changed. And if there were people talking about that, it was definitely a small minority of people. I think I could say that pretty confidently, that throughout this game's lifespan, other than gear and like, class perks and skills, which are just balance things that, you have, they always get changed, I don't know what they could be talking about. Oh, my bad. Okay. For example, when we introduced the random modifier system, I personally had a lot of concerns. However, I wanted to realize the fantasy of creating powerful, synergy-based builds like those seen in roguelike games, and playing the game through that lens. That's why we decided to test the system during the playtest. In the early stages of testing, it was actually possible to create Superman builds with extraordinary damage, health, and movement speed. Weapon damage, true damage, and additional damage values were extremely high, despite the presence of power options like all attributes on multiple pieces of gear. The time to kill remained short enough, and with the right setup, players could strategically take on multiple opponents. At the time, the combat seemed promising to me. However, not all players enjoyed this structure. In the community, there was considerable backlash against the one-tap meta, and many asked for longer time to kill. Of course, some of that feedback stemmed from the gear gap, which often resulted in public stomping, but at the time, we wanted to listen to the players and try to improve things in the direction they were asking for. Terry believed from the beginning that random modifiers were inherently difficult to balance and ultimately needed to be removed. I initially disagreed, as I supported the random modifier system. However, I eventually came to the same conclusion. Unless we made every player into a glass cannon, there was no way to provide a meaningful sense of hope when faced with the gear gap. See, that's the problem. That's what the game used to be, right? Like, some of what they're saying here is true. The game did used to be literally just a one-tap meta. I mean, I don't know how many of you guys played back then, but certain classes, like Wizard, for example, you had, like, no health. Fighters, like, in a good kit, you were, like, 120, like, 130 HP. And this is with random modifiers, because that's just how bad base stats were. That's just how bad they scaled. Like, it wasn't, and this is, I'm talking playtest, like, it wasn't until, like, later in early access time when you got really crazy. But back then, Rangers could body shot with longbows for like 150 plus damage. You could headshot for like over 200. It was absolutely ridiculous. And this is when Wizards only had, less than 100 HP. Fighters could one-tap them with crossbows, from a good distance away, because there wasn't fall-off damage or anything back then. You would just one-shot them from like a mile away. But in that same vein, fireballs one-shot most classes in the game. Barbarians could like two-tap or one-shot most classes in the game. So could rogues. Like, everybody could. And I agree. I think that meta was terrible. I don't think one-shot meta is fun. I think having actual potential to play fights. I think one-shots are where the meta leaves no outplay potential. Because just random, like, if somebody gets one-shot, it's harder to say, oh, this person outplayed them, or this person was outplayed. It's more of, oh, they just they just one shot me. Like if you peek a corner and somebody's holding a windlass and they click it on you and you just fall over on the ground, like did that guy outplay you? I mean, I guess you shouldn't have looked over. You shouldn't have looked around the corner, dummy. But but then it says, of course, some of that feedback stemmed from the gear gap, in which the thing is just isn't true. Like literally, a ranger in blues could one shot somebody in full legendaries, just because of all they need is weapon damage. Like when you have certain stats that are so broken, you don't even need good gear. Like if you're in green gear with full weapon damage on everything you have, you can one shot pretty much every class that is in the tank, no matter what they have on, because that is just so much damage you have. But anyways, and they said, but at the time, we wanted to listen to the players and try to improve things in the direction they were asking for. We weren't asking for this. No one wanted shorter time to kill. Everybody has always wanted longer time to kill. Everyone. Literally, everybody wants that. No one wants the 1v3 potential but SDF, because that's stupid. If you have the ability to 1v3 basically all the time, your game is probably so poorly balanced that it's just not even worth playing. Like when I have 3 players versus 1 player, it shouldn't be a fair fight. That is why I have 3 people. If it's a fair fight, 3 versus 1, then like why do I have 3 people? What was the point? I shouldn't have brought 3. You know? It's just dumb. It really is. Um, but see, that's the thing. That's like, also he's saying here that he liked the short time to kill in the random modifiers, but he has said before on several occasions that's not the case. He said, "Oh no, I never liked the system, even when we implemented it. I always wanted to change it, stuff like that." Right? Like he's said this numerous times, and he's also saying that like Terrence was the one that it needed to be that needed to be removed. And I like I said, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I could go back check, but I'm not going to because I'd rather just say it and believe it myself. That SDF has said on several occasions he never liked the random modifier system, knew it'd be hard to balance, but they did it anyways because they didn't really know what else to do, right? Um, yeah, and he says unless you met every player into a glass cannon, there's no way to provide a meaningful sense of hope when faced with the gear gap. Like, honestly, I will say this: like the way they use gear gap in my mind feels like I'm talking to a player that plays 0 to 24 gear score lobbies and has never touched a high roller lobby and is like 15 hours on this game. Because they say gear gap, and like I don't. The way they say it is like you're in Squire kit and the other guy's in full BIS uniques with artifacts, right? It's like that's not how the game plays out. Most of the time, the people you fight are relatively close to you in gear. If you are wearing purples, like not even BIS purples, if you have like 2 rolled purples, you could kill literally every single player in this game, no matter the gear is, if you outplay them. Every single one. And in my mind, that's pretty good. Because you shouldn't ever go in, saying like, oh, I just win by, de facto because that is because my gear is good enough. But it should be, if I take in really insane gear, I have a big advantage. That is my advantage for risking the gear because I'm bringing in gear that is so good that if I die, it's a giant loss for 1, and 2, it was hard for me to get. You know? Bro, why is my nose always stuffy whenever I'm trying to record a video? This always happens. Like, it's crazy. But, like that's the thing. Like that is the balance that there is. It is if you are in like worse gear, you have a much bigger chance, or you have a much bigger come up when from killing me if I'm in really good gear than I do for killing you. And yes, is it hard to kill me? Absolutely. But that's the point. That's where the fun comes from. When you kill somebody in gear like that and you get those big upgrades, like that is where fun is. And I know a lot of people are going to be out there like, oh, well, like, not everyone can do that, right? Like, that's just the streamers that play 15 hours a day. But before I even streamed this game, because I didn't start streaming till early access. Till early access release. I played the game during the playtest. I played with my friends. We played maybe a few hours a day. If that. We didn't even play that much. I mean, I would say, yeah, probably a few hours a week. If that. And literally, the best feeling was killing a player and seeing they had really good gear and being super hyped about it. Like, and anyone can do it. Like, it's not like, it's a thing that only the 15-hour, 20-hour a day sweats can do. Anyone can do it. That is the fun in these games. Overcoming that challenge and getting the reward from it. Like, there is no sense of, like, accomplishment when you kill players in the same gear, I would say. Or, when, like, the gear isn't worth getting. So, to an extent, having gear gap is good. Because that gear gap, it's something that you aim towards, something that you work towards. It's an obstacle to overcome that whenever you do, you feel better about it. It's like the same logic as playing a Souls game to an extent. When you, like, the harder the challenge that you overcome, the better it feels at the end. And if you are one of those players like, oh, I just don't want the challenge, I want it to all be fair, then, I mean, play a different game. Like, I heard Hello Kitty Island Adventure is pretty good around this time of the year. Try that. Maybe Roblox. But anyways. At the same time, I was curious, would ideal combat really emerge if we changed the structure this way? So we gradually lifted the impact of overly powerful modifiers, reduced the overall influence of random modifiers, and evolved the system to increase time to kill. Of course, I still couldn't fully let go of the original idea of powerful synergy-based builds. That's why we have sometimes all attributes may return or time to kill is reduced again. No, that's not. No, it isn't. No, you've said it before. The reason all attributes came back in the game was because you forgot, because you're an idiot. We're not backtracking on that now, buddy. All attributes was removed because you forgot that it was so long ago that you forgot about it that you thought of adding it to the game again because you're a failure. Anyways, may return or time to kill is reduced again, leading to seemingly contradictory updates. I apologize for the confusion caused by these shifts. These are the result of two conflicting design philosophies clashing with each other. Okay, keep in mind, this is him. This is literally the two conflicting design philosophies. It's like there are two wolves inside of SDF. One of them wants the game to be good. One of them wants to kill it. Because the thing is, it almost looks like he's blaming Terry here, but at the same time, he says, I eventually came to the same conclusion unless we made every player into a glass cannon. Like, he's agreeing. He's agreeing that they had to change the gear. So the two conflicting design philosophies are yours. It's you and the other you. It's SDF and the cooler SDF that we like that we don't get. So they're not seemingly contradictory updates. They are contradictory updates. Let's just get rid of the word seemingly there. If this were a paper, I would mark that out and take a point off. Because it's not seemingly, it is contradictory. And you don't even have the self-awareness to realize that. Failure. Anyways, in any case, the result is that the recent structure has shifted to one where PvP is no longer decided by just one or two mistakes, but instead through multiple exchanges. However, even small differences in gear now feel much more significant. Class-based rock, paper, scissors matchups have become harder to overcome, and winning while outnumbered has become virtually impossible. No, it's not. It has never been impossible to win when you're outnumbered. There are numerous clips of people winning 2v3s because it's not that hard. Because in this game, even though the low time to kill is still relatively fast, if someone gets out of position, they die almost instantly, and that's true for basically every class in the game. The only time that isn't true is when you have, like, a tank fighting people that are in, like, that tank is, like, full legendaries fighting people in, like, greens. And that, like I said, that is the advantage I should have. If my gear is that good, people that came in 100 gold worth of gear, they can pick out of the first chest they find, shouldn't be able to kill me instantly. If you disagree, IQ check. Lower than room temperature in a cold room. Competing at a high level now requires a significant time investment. No, it doesn't. Leveling up your skills takes a long time. No, it doesn't. And with a highly skilled trio party, grinding and preparing the necessary gear also demands a lot of effort. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Like, no, it don't. Grinding and preparing the necessary gear demands you can do like 3 runs of PvE. Not even that. You could do like 2 runs of PvE. You get like 1,000 gold and you get gems out of it. You could do 1 run of normals and you can almost have enough to build like a good purple kit. Literally, like this right here just shows me how little awareness he has about the current game going on. You can go in, like during the Vincent tournament, for example, right? I went in with 10,000 gold. And I'm not saying 10,000 gold's a lot. I mean, I'm not saying 10,000 gold's a little. I went in with 10,000 gold, and with 10,000 gold, I built a kit that is just as good as people in nearly quad roll legendaries. I could go in with 3,000 gold. Obviously not now, I can't because it's gone. I could have gone in with 3,000 gold, and you can build a full purple on-roll kit for 3,000 gold. And if you say that is grindy, and it's a lot of effort to prepare that, then you're terrible at the game. Like, that's what this comes. You are just bad. You are just really, really, really bad. I mean, that's what it is. And then, like, yes, if you are going into the high roller trio mode, like, yeah, maybe you do need a highly skilled party. That's like queuing up in flex ranked. you know, and saying like, "Oh man, I need good players to try to win these games." Like, yes, when you are playing the hardest mode, you expect to be going against the best players. You expect your players to be good. And even if you're not highly skilled at the start, you go in and learn. Like, you don't have to go in with literal bisque gear. No one makes you go in quad rolled legendaries or triple rolled purples. You can go in naked and zero to hero it. It costs 100 gold per run. And if you die a bunch, guess what? Queue back up PvE, play one game, make 1,000 gold, and that funds 10 runs you can go back into. And you can learn that way. Like, everybody's had to learn this game. Like, all the players that are super insane at the game right now learned by playing the game. And they learned when the game was way less player friendly than it is now. It used to be way worse. So much worse than it is right now. I came to believe that this structure hurt player accessibility and ultimately hindered the game's long-term growth, so we made the bold decision to rework the structure entirely. That led to patch 69. Unfortunately, due to my lack of proper explanation and the poor timing of implementing such changes mid-season, the intended message was not clearly communicated and the patch causes unintended side effects. I sincerely apologize once again for that. I mean, what do I even say about that? You're just a failure. Like, no, you're just stupid. Like, you are trying to sacrifice everything you have built to potentially attract new players. That is what patch 69 was, and that is what you're doing now. You are literally giving up everything that you have managed to build over the past 2 years to attempt to maybe make the game better for new players that are not coming to the game. I mean, like, what are we doing, right? It's like you're killing your chicken to get eggs. I mean, what are we doing? I said I'd keep it simple, but here I am rambling on again, as I'm sure you do. My inconsistent decisions and shallow responses to feedback from various types of players have led to the current state of the game, and now I believe that this outcome is not ideal. That was entirely my mistake, and I will not repeat it again. From now on, I will move forward with clear focus toward the final vision we have for the game. This does not mean that I will stop listening to player feedback. Rather, it means I want to stay true to the direction we're aiming for, filtering feedback through that lens without being easily swayed. Okay, I mean, now correct me if I'm wrong. Right. Let me just read this one more time. My inconsistent decisions and shallow responses to feedback from various types of players have led to the current state of the game, and I now believe that this outcome is not ideal. This was entirely my mistake, and I will not repeat it again. From now on, I will move forward with a clear focus toward the final vision we have for this game. This does not mean that I will stop listening to player feedback. Rather, it means I want to stay true to the direction we're aiming for, filtering feedback through that lens without being easily swayed. So basically, what this means is he's going to ignore all feedback that isn't in line with his own thinking. That is pretty much what he just said. He basically just said, I'm going to look at the feedback, and if it's not something that if it's not something that I already want to do or I think is good, I'm just going to completely ignore it. Which, I mean, that's kind of what he's done so far, so I don't really know what he's talking about. Like, my inconsistent decisions and shallow responses to feedback, I mean, what responses? Right? Like, what have you responded to, SDF? Nothing. You haven't responded to any of our feedback. It doesn't seem like you responded to any of your player feedback, so I don't really know. And then, okay, so I have read this before, right? Oh my god, this is my favorite part. We will move away from the current model where investing time makes a player's character increasingly powerful, and instead shift toward a model where players become increasingly wealthy. like, you can't even make this up. Like this is him. This is really him. Like, look, this is him. I mean, it's on streamer mode, so you can actually let me turn streamer mode off. Like, this is him saying this. SDF, like, this is him. Oh, one second, let me turn streamer mode back on so I don't get pop-ups or anything. Streamer mode. And there it is. Cool, we're good. Like, I mean, we will move away from the current model where investing time makes a player's character increasingly powerful, and instead shift toward a model where players become increasingly wealthy. What the fuck? Like, every RPG in the history of ever, that is like the core mechanic of the game. That is like the thesis behind the RPG genre. Investing time makes equals character getting stronger. That is literally the reason RPGs like exist and are popular. Like, and obviously there are varying degrees, right? But that is the whole time. That is the whole thing. I spend time on this character. I get attached to this character, and they get stronger as a process. Dungeons and Dragons is like a great example of this, which this game is relatively based off of. The more time you spend on a character, the more powerful they get, and it feels better because, oh, look at this, I'm investing all of this, and my character's getting strong, and it feels really good. But instead, oh, my character's getting rich. Woo! Like, my character's working a 9 to 5 now. Oh, I just got a raise. Yippee! Like, what? Increasingly wealthy. Like, oh, sick. I'm like, my character's getting more gold. For what? Not spending it on gear. You know? Like, this is the problem. Gold doesn't matter when you have nothing to spend it on. When gear is completely irrelevant and everything is like piss cheap because nothing as is like, any different, it's all the same and there's a million of them, they don't become worth anything. So all that I'm gonna have is just 1 million gold that I'm never gonna spend because I have nothing to spend it on. Right? Like, it's this is stupid. Like, there is just so little correlation. Every other statement is entirely contradictory. It's like, I don't want to spend time for my characters to become more wealthy. I want to spend time so I have a sense of accomplishments. I have a sense of, like, I can feel like my time is worth something. Like, I don't want to just look in my stash and see 3 million gold and be like, yeah, look at that. I've spent so much time on this game. Because that's just pointless. Like, you know what? Like, actually, a great example is, do you guys know, like, the auto clicker games? Like Tap Titans, what is it, Cookie Clicker, any of those that are basically just like AFK games where the only objective of the game is just see your value or whatever it is just increase, like, pretty much endlessly. Like, that is effectively what this is. And those games are fun for about an hour and a half until you've pretty much done like everything and you're just like running back through it at this point where all of your upgrades at that point are effectively meaningless and the numbers are so high that they just, you've already hit the billions. Like, oh, cool, I'm doing trillions. Like, it doesn't matter anymore. Like, the magnitude is like so vastly like out there that it doesn't have any weight. Like, whenever you make 17 million gold in this game, but every item is less than 100, like, less than 500 gold, like, what does it matter? Like, what does it matter if I have 15 million or 50 million? Like, it doesn't do anything for me. But a character becoming increasingly more powerful, that's actually something like, that's something real. That's something that I feel. That's something I feel every single raid. When I go in with good gear on, I feel that every single time. And I get like, I get some sort of like joy and excitement out of that. Of like, oh wow, look how like, going, oh wow, look how cool this kid is. Like, or, look how good this kid is. It feels good. And they're just gonna get rid of that. Like, that's just, I mean, like, genuinely, like, some of these things he's saying in my, like, I just don't ever like, if they go through with this, I don't think this game could recover. I think this game is just dead. I genuinely do. I think the game is actually just dead. I mean, of course, players who invest time will still feel a certain amount of power growth and advantage, but I want to ensure that opponents never feel completely hopeless when facing them. You don't, right? Like, unless you are in like the largest gear gap of your life, like I said, like Squire kit to like uniques, like, you don't feel hopeless. I know minimum whenever I queue up in like, you know, purple gear, I have never fought somebody that I'm like, wow, this is completely unwinnable. Not because of gear at least, like maybe matchup based or something, but I and I think purple should be like the standard for what you consider high roller as, because if you're queuing up purple, if you're queuing up high roller with less than purples and you die to people in really, really crazy gear, I don't really think you should ever have a right to complain about that because you knew what you were queuing up into effectively. Like, like you wouldn't spend an extra 1,000 gold to get purples instead you have blues. And if you are in full purples and you feel hopeless fighting somebody, then that's like I said, skill issue. But this is just stupid to me. It's like you are effectively trying to make the game as dumbed down and easy as possible for players that when that like that's not like you are doing this when your current player base is telling you actively this isn't what we want. So you are pretty much going through with changes that you are acknowledging will kill your current player base off and in hopes that you are able to find a new one. That's kind of what it seems like. Okay. Okay, here it is. To speak a bit more specifically about the current state of the game, I'm generally satisfied with where things are now, and I plan to use. Okay, I just need to hold on. I'm literally opening my Steam because I want. I just need you guys to see this. Hold on, just keep reading. Where's it at? Dark and darker. Yep, play. All right. let's keep going. I'd like to, we are not, while not fully yet confirmed and therefore not included in our internal roadmap, I would like to introduce systems such as a mastery system that grants additional bonuses based on your proficiency with individual weapons or armor. For example, gaining +1 true damage with reaching max proficiency with a stiletto dagger, or getting a slight increase in armor rating while maxing out proficiency with a fine cuirass. Additionally, based on our previous multi-classing test, we've also considered a training system resembling, oh, my game's loading. A training system resembling a subclass concept where players could allocate levels across multiple classes within a 20 level cap. To make this possible, multi-class setups, particularly those involving sorcerer, will need to be tested again, possibly as sort of part of a special event. Bro, Mel just I literally loaded up the game and Mel immediately messaged me, "Yo, hop off that game for me, uninstall right now." Based. But yeah, I mean, it kind of sounds like they're talking about effectively what we originally mentioned with like like a. Okay, actually, I don't know. Well, my game's loaded up. Let's see something, boys. Let's see something really really good. Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh, look at that. Wow. Well, would you look at that? Do. Oh, wrong thing. Oh, let me grab. All right. Oh. Oh wow. Oh, 2,117 players in dungeon, 1,555 in lobby. Oh. Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh, it's 4:46 p.m. on a Monday? Oh wow. I mean, that's not that bad. I mean, the game only wiped what, like a week ago? And there's a whopping 3,600 players on the game? Oh wow. I'm generally satisfied with where things are. And I plan, well, huh. Well, SDF, it's a good thing somebody's satisfied with where the game's at right now. It's a good thing someone is. Okay, also something else. Like, look at this, by the way. This is my friends list. 0 dungeon, 0 lobby, 47 offline. I mean, yeah. Anyways, I mean, I don't know. That's is what it is. Uh, I'll read go back. Additionally, based on our previous multi-classing test, we're also considering a training system resembling a subclass concept, where players can allocate levels across multiple classes with a 20 level cap. To make this possible, multi-class setups, particularly those involving sorcerer, will need to be tested again, possibly as part of a special event. I'm just gonna say this: if their idea of a subclass is literally just picking another class and leveling it up and getting those perks and skills, then your guys are brain dead and that's gonna fail again. Moving on. Oh, this is my favorite. Another one of my favorite parts here that I read. As for the quiver, development has been paused because our original idea was to support various types of arrows: fire, poison, ice, etc. And we haven't yet had the time to fully explore and finalize that concept. I understand that many players simply want larger arrow stacks or a quiver that works like a gold container, but in my view, rangers are already strong enough. So for now, I would prefer to keep some element of inventory resource management in place. I ask for your understanding on this. Well, Ranger players, you heard it here first. Your class is so broken, so unbelievably OP beyond every other class in this entire game, and has been for 2 years, that you guys have to deal with inventory management as a nerf. Oh, sorry guys, sucks. It's nothing we can do. Your class is just that OP. Your class is just so OP that you are forced to not be able to use your inventory to carry your arrows. Some would even argue that if Ranger's that strong that you were forcing a nerf on them that no other class has ever had to go through or will have to go through, that you could just balance the class and then give them this giant quality of life update. Because I could guarantee you that 99% of Rangers, if asked, "Hey, would you like your class to be a little bit weaker but not have to store your arrows in your inventory, or would you like class to stay the same strength and keep your inventory management issues?" Every single one of them would want their class to be weaker. Every single one. But no, SDF, you're onto something here, bro. They're already strong enough, right? So I'd prefer to keep some element of inventory resource management in place. Ask your understanding. Well, SDF, you have my understanding, buddy. You have my understanding that you literally can't function like a normal human being. Your IQ is so low, daily processes become difficult to do. And I understand you. I now finally understand you. SDF, super druid fan, super dumb fuck, stupid, delusional failure. That's a new one, boys. Patent that shit. Um, I'm also well aware that many players are dissatisfied with the sense of reward from the item acquisition. We have no intention of keeping things in their current state forever. The reason why the single line random modifiers being tested on the test server were not included in the sim wipe is because I wanted to first establish a clear foundation for that kind of combat style we aim to deliver. That said, this doesn't necessarily mean that random modifiers will return in the future. However, we believe that each class must have multiple viable builds, and for now, we are all focusing on making those builds work properly with the current baseline. After that, we'll consider whether it's possible to create something interesting through the Goldsmith service using gems. This sim wipe will serve as a solid opportunity to establish and refine the standards for combat and game modes in preparation for the upcoming Early Access 7 season. I welcome criticism as a sign of interest, but I also hope you'll continue to provide feedback so we can build a better game together. And that's it. Go ahead and hold on 1 second. Go ahead and clown react. Clown react. Clown react. Oh, that's a super clown. Oh, can't do that. Don't have it. Clown react. Clown react. Clown. Oh, clown. 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 Alright, there we go. Okay. Back to what I was saying. Um, I mean, he's pretty much saying he doesn't want to bring back random modifiers, which to me is just saying the game is dead. You are saying that you do not care about the lifespan of your game, you don't care about what your players want, you don't care about anything, you are accepting the game is going to die because you are so self-centered and so narcissistic. You believe your vision is better than what every single player in this game is telling you, what every single person who has ever touched this game wants, and basically everything else there is to say. Game's dead. Yeah. Also, I mean, my favorite part, the single line modifiers being tested on the test server were not included in this wipe because I wanted to first establish a clear foundation for the kind of combat style we aim to deliver. So basically, what you're saying is the base, like having nothing on the gear is bad, and you're gonna change it, but you just wanted to implement it in the game so everybody could see what this is gonna be like. That you're not actually gonna do, right? Like saying, "Hey, we're definitely gonna change this. We just want you guys to see what it's gonna be like, even though we're gonna change it." I mean, isn't that kind of stupid, right? That's like, imagine I'm like cooking something, right? And I'm like, "Hey, here, try this." You try it, and you're like, "Wow, that's awful." You're like, "Yeah, I know. That's not what it's gonna taste like when it's done, though. I just wanted you to see what it was like, before I put all the seasonings on it." Like, what does that do for me? Like, why did I have to go through that, aversive experience? Like, why? Like, for what? Just so, like, because you're like a sicko, you just want to see me suffer? Because I mean, that's kind of what it sounds like. Of like, "Hey guys, try this out." Like, "Oh, this sucks." Like, "Oh, well, yeah, well, we just wanted you guys to see what it was like. We're changing that, though. Don't worry about it." Like, huh? Anyways, that's pretty much all there is to say about this. At the end of the day, I don't know if this game is going to make it to Early Access 7. Honestly, I think on some level they are okay doing all this testing now because I imagine the new player influx is probably so small and they're probably making so little money at this point from the game because everybody already bought it, that they are fine changing this because even if every single player they have quits right now, like whatever, they already made all the money off of them. Maybe this gets more players to buy the game again and they can make a little bit more money off of it. I don't know. All I do know, SDF sucks. Iron Mace as a whole seems to be pretty terrible. Maybe not all of them, but most of them. The game is going to die. There are 3,600 players on, less than a week after the game wipes, and we have 2 months more of this. If the game does not change drastically, I will not be playing it. I mean, I might play it just to stream because free viewers, free money. But yeah, I mean, I got nothing. I'm out. My hopium is out. The tank's out. I have no hope left for this game. This game is going to die. SDF's going to be the reason behind it. It's effectively old Yeller that he's taking out back to shoot in the head. Spoiler alert for anyone that hasn't seen it. I think that's what happens. Actually, I've never seen it. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video because it's probably more entertaining than anything that's going to happen on the game for a while. So happy to help with that, and catch you guys next time. Peace.